And now the White House blaming Democrats for the effects of the government shutdown, and President Trump saying that he has an obligation to sue the BBC for defamation. We go now live to NTD's Washington correspondent, Mari Otsu, who's at the White House. Good evening, Mari. What's the latest from the White House about the government shutdown?
Jack, good evening. Yeah, the White House is saying that it's very hopeful that the shutdown will end soon, and President Trump himself is expressing confidence that that bill to reopen the government will pass the House tonight and arrive on his desk. Press Secretary Leavitt today said that the White House hopes that clean continuing resolution will be signed by President Trump later tonight, when the president's also expected to host Wall Street executives at the White House for dinner. Meanwhile, Press Secretary Leavitt also lists all of the damages wrought by the government shutdown in the briefing today. Take a look.
The damage caused by the Democrats with this reckless government shutdown cannot be forgotten. It is entirely the fault of the Democrat Party. Just look at the vote count.
The White House criticizing Democrats for the effects of the government shutdown.
Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have missed their paychecks. Tens of billions in wages and benefits were withheld, impacting vulnerable families. Millions of low-income Americans missed their SNAP benefits. Nearly 20,000 flights at airports across the country were delayed.
While some Democrats raise the possibility that a shutdown could happen again in January if they aren't able to get concessions on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies set to expire at the end of the year. Meanwhile, President Trump is doubling down on a different fight, vowing to continue with his threatened $1 billion defamation lawsuit against the BBC for editing his speech.
Well, I think I have an obligation to do it because you can't allow people to do that. They actually changed my January 6th speech, which was a beautiful speech, which was a very calming speech, and they made it sound radical, but it was very dishonest.
The BBC documentary aired just before the 2024 election, spliced clips taken 54 minutes apart to suggest President Trump incited violence, with BBC's CEO and director resigning on Sunday. Prime Minister Keir Starmer responds,
"Where mistakes are made, they do need to get their house in order, and the BBC must uphold the highest standards, be accountable and correct errors quickly. But I will always stand up for a strong, independent BBC."
While the White House says
the president has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom.
Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is teasing that Americans will see what he calls substantial announcements in the coming days aimed at lowering the prices of grocery products like bananas, coffee, and other products not grown in the U.S. Jack, back to you.
Mari, thank you for that update.